Hey, welcome back to my new video, and in today's video we're gonna learn how to make a website promo video in After Effects. And the whole idea of this tutorial is to show you how I like to animate 3D cameras without the need of creating a real 3D camera in After Effects, right? So stick till the end of the video and let's get started. Alright, let's create a new composition, and I'm gonna rename this main comp. Hit OK. Right, so I have a screenshot of my website. I have 3 screenshots, and I'm gonna import the first one right inside this, and maybe I'm gonna move it down here. And before we do anything, I will create a new solid, and I'm gonna rename this BG for background. I'm gonna hit OK and duplicate this and rename this grid, and I'm gonna apply a grid effect. Grid. There you have it, and you can see here, you can just make it black. Start shrinking the grid because it's too big. I want it to be small, and I'm gonna set this border to maybe 2. So yeah, that's fine. And I'm gonna select the grid and add a gradient ramp, and I'm gonna set this to a radial ramp. And I think I can just adjust these points. Maybe I'm gonna start the ramp from the middle, and I can, select the end color and pick with the color of the solid here, so that we have just a subtle graph, a little bit to the lighter side. Maybe, yeah, that's fine. And maybe you can adjust this point to reveal even more. I think that's kind of fine here, so I'll leave that for now, and I'm gonna move this screenshot on top of everything, and I'm gonna make this screenshot at 3D. Okay, so once you're done with that, you can create a new null object, make this at 3D, and I'm gonna parent the screenshot to the null object. Let's move this down, scale this down. Hit S on the null object, and maybe I'm gonna scale it down 50%. Maybe 60. Yep, move it here and move it down here. Set a keyframe for the position, hit P, and hold down Shift and R for the orientation. Maybe set an orientation keyframe, and maybe at 3 or 4 seconds. I'm gonna move the Y position up here, and I'm gonna change this orientation. Maybe I'm gonna start from here, now here, and maybe move it down a touch, and yeah, something like that. I think I will stop it somewhere here, and if I select all the keyframes and hit F9 and change the graph, like this. I'm gonna move it here as well. You can see that it stops here, but for a smoother animation I will continue the motion. So for that, I'll create a new null object again, make it 3D, and parent the first null to the second one. Hit P on the keyboard, and maybe around, just hit U to see the keyframes. Maybe from here, set a keyframe for the position, move it somewhere around here, and I'll still move it up like that. Okay, select all the keyframes, F9. So comes there, and we'll still continue to slide up like that, right? Slowly. That will make your animation even smoother. So once you are happy with that, I can just create a text. Motion designer, whatever text you want. Maybe I'm gonna move it somewhere here, and maybe I will add a text animation. So go to position, move the position down, go in the advance, ramp up, and I'm going to offset this to a negative 100. set the keyframe, move few frames, and to 100. That's too slow. Okay, let's just select this to 100 and ease high to 50. And I'm going to change these characters to words. I think that's slow. Maybe I'm going to start from here. Maybe I can just move this position down even more. Like that. Even slower. Maybe right about here. Yep, that's nice. So let's add an opacity here. Let's go to the animator 1 and add property and opacity and make it 0. And I'll also add a blur here. Property and blur to 50. Okay, that's nice. Once you are happy with that, let's see. You can add some subtitles here. I can just duplicate this and maybe change this to medium, maybe decrease the font size. Welcome to my website. You know, you can just write any text here, right? So maybe italics. All right, this is just an example. So I can offset the animation, something like that, right? All right, so maybe at 5 seconds, I'll trim down everything, select all the layers, hold down Alt and the right square bracket, and maybe I will pre-compose this. Okay, so hit N to set that work area, Control Shift and C, and I'm gonna rename this scene underscore 1. Hit OK. Right, so that's there, and I'm gonna double click this and I will turn on the motion blur for all the layers, and I will copy the background layers, both the background layers and the grid. Control C. Let's go to the main com and Control V to paste it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut off the eye for this scene 1, and I will build scene 2 now again. So the grid should be on top of the BG. Alright, for this number 2 slide, so we need some screen mockup. So I have downloaded that. Let's just drag and drop it here, and I'm gonna import this inside that, and maybe I'm gonna scale it down to fit the comp size somewhere around here, maybe even down, something like this. Okay, so that is the screen, and we're gonna make this a 3D layer, and I'm gonna make, maybe I'm gonna move this down, and I'm gonna make this screen a 3D layer as well, maybe on top of that layer. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scale this down, sorry, a touch, and you know, roughly align it so that it covers the screen. Okay, something like that. So I'm gonna turn this off for now, and what I'm gonna do is create a new solid, and I'm gonna rename this mask. Hit OK, and shut off the mask for now. Grab the pen tool and hit the title key on the keyboard to make it a full screen. And I think I should scale this up a touch, like that. Down a little bit, and maybe I can just adjust this later on. Okay, so just select the mask, hit the P, go and select the pen tool, it's G, hit the title key on the keyboard to bring up the full screen. And you know, I'm just going to draw a mask here, all right, the mask drawn, and you can turn on the mask. All right, this is the place where you want to put that screen. Okay, so I'll just adjust the mask path. Alright, so let's just go and turn off the mask layer, and I'm going to parent this track mat to the mask. Right, so you see that, but I think we need some scaling here, so I'll scale it a touch. Plus I think we need some adjustment here for the mask path, so hit M, and I'm gonna grab this mask and move it like that. Alright, so that kind of fixed that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna create a new null object and make this a 3D layer. In fact, make all this a 3D layer except for the grid and the background. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition this by just selecting all of this, parenting it to the null object, and hit P. I'm going to position it inside the whole composition. So something like this. Okay, that's how I will do it. And I'm gonna select the screenshot, hit P, and I'm gonna animate this. Okay, let's just select the position and set a keyframe there, and go to the first frame, and I'm gonna move this. Oops, this is not the layer, by the way. I think I have to animate the screen. Hit P on the keyboard and hold down Shift and hit page down twice. Set a keyframe for the position. Go to the first frame, and I'm gonna move the x-axis to the left side. Alright, so once you're there, you'll see this pixel, so you're gonna trim that. Right at this keyframe, you're gonna select this stock footage, stock image, hold down Alt and the left square bracket, and you can just trim everything, or hold down Alt and the left square bracket to trim everything. So it starts from the blank and this slides in there. Okay, slides in there, and I'm gonna set a keyframe for the null position, and maybe I'm gonna go to 2 seconds, and maybe I'm gonna zero this out, right, and reposition this somewhere around here. Select all the keyframes, F9 if you play it back now. Okay, that's really nice. And maybe I'm gonna add some graph easing here, right? Okay, that's really nice. I think we need some overlapping here so that it's kind of smooth. So a little bit here. See that? If you have some overlapping here, it's smooth like that. So once you are here, I want this screenshot to animate. So I'm gonna set the position again and go somewhere here, and it has to go up, and I want to stop it somewhere here. Okay, so once you have that, I think that's a little bit slow. Comes here. I think this has to come even more early. So we play back. Alright, that's nice. So once you are here, I think we're gonna work on we're gonna scale it down again. So I'm gonna create a new null object and make it 3D, and parent the null object, the previous null object, to the new null object, which is number 4. Okay, so hit P, Shift and R, and maybe right at this point, I think I'll set a position and orientation, and I'm gonna move somewhere around here, and I'm gonna move it down out and move it this way, and you can just orient it to wherever direction you like. Maybe I'm gonna orient it this way, move it here. Okay, it totally depends on you, this kind of style. Alright, I'll just keep this for now like this. Alright, so select all the keyframes, hit F9, go to the graph, and we're gonna make the graph like this. Okay, so let's play back. Whoa, that's really fast. Make it slower. Well, that's really smooth. Okay, alright, so once you are there, you can just add a text animation again. Let's go ahead and copy these text, Control C, and I'm gonna copy and paste it here. Maybe move it down here, say elegant design, right? Maybe I'm gonna move it just above the background. Offset a little bit. That's really nice. And I think that, yeah, so once you're happy with that, I'm gonna select all these except for the scene 1, and I'm gonna pre-compose this, and make sure you check this adjust composition duration to the time span of the selected layers. And before that, I can just trim this, hold down Alt and the right square bracket, so that the pre-comp is just the length of these layers. Okay, Control Shift and C to pre-compose it. Make sure you check this, and I'm gonna rename this scene underscore 2, hit OK. And I forgot to turn on the motion blur again. This is very important. So I'm gonna close that, close that, and you have the scene 1 and scene 2. And I forgot to copy the background layers as well. Control C, and go to the main comp, Control V to paste it. Alright, just leave it there and move it here. Right, so I'm gonna turn off the scene 2, and we're gonna build the final scene, which is this one. I'm gonna drag and drop here, and move it down somewhere here, and I'm gonna drop the first screenshot and move it below, and maybe I'm gonna set this keyframe. Maybe I'm gonna make this 3D, both, all the layers 3D, the background and the screenshots. Okay, so I'm gonna move the second one position backwards, maybe, oops, undo that. Maybe I'm gonna select all these three layers, the grid, the background, and the screenshot, and I'm gonna move it back somewhere here, and I'm gonna scale both of this background back to the original size. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to scale the second one down to the size of this, and maybe move it up a touch. Right, so once you are at this position, maybe try to align it perfectly. Alright, that's close to perfect. So create a new null object, select this 3D switch, and I'm going to parent everything except for these two layers to the null, and hit R, and you can see that we have some orientation here, and we don't need to create any 3D cameras for this, right? So maybe I'm gonna adjust the second screenshot to somewhere around here, and the first one, hit P, the y-axis, maybe go down a little bit, and also I have to extend the background like that, scale that like that, and it'll be fine. Let's scale this, and let's go ahead and reorient this. Maybe I'm gonna move it back even more like that by positioning it. Shift R to bring up the orientation. Yep, I think it's nice. So I will just animate this. So from here, set a keyframe for the orientation, and maybe go at 4 seconds. Like this, and maybe you can just add just reframe this. Okay, select all the keyframes, F9, and all you have to do now is these two layers to go even more away, the background layer even more than the grid, so that it's visible, and scale it up, and the background grid, scale it up. And what I also did was add a Gaussian blur to the second one to add a depth of field. Gaussian blur, maybe 5, maybe 10. Right, so once you are happy with that, select all these layers except for these two, hold down Alt and the right square bracket, and I'm going to pre-compose this, Control Shift and C, and rename this scene 3. Hit OK. I forgot to turn on the motion blurring. Oh, it's on here. Alright, so it's here, the main comp. So scene 1, 2, and 3. Let's turn on the scene 1, and let's stack it on top of each other. Here's 2, and here's number 3. So it's played back now. Comes out. So maybe somewhere around here. This should come out. Alright, that's really nice. And right after that, I think this should be here. So I will add a custom position here. Select all the keyframes, F9 for easy ease. Maybe I'm gonna go to the graph editor. So that's how you create a website promo in After Effects. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. If you're just starting out with After Effects, I have a course for you, and I also have a discount. You can use this MD 2025 coupon code while checkout. Make sure you watch this next video. This is Motion Designer, and I will see you in my next video.